In order to illuminate this issue right now with this SAG strike, we actually have a surprise pop-in guest.
Whoa. Whoa.
Coming to us live right now is SAG member, but also family member, Steve Downs.
Hey,
Whoa.
hey,
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
how you doing?
Nice pop-in from Master Chief.
I'm popping.
Yeah, it's a new segment, pop-in.
How y'all doing?
Great. It's me, Zach, and Heath here. I don't know if you can see us.
Yeah, I can see y'all.
And yeah, we just wanted to bring you in for a second here. We just talked about the new Netflix film, They Clone Tyrone. And I thought it would behoove us to use this opportunity to talk about the strike.
Right.
And, you're in the Screen Actors Guild. You are on strike right now, correct? Like, I
Correct.
mean,
Yeah. If you're operating under the TV and film contract, we are on strike against the TV and film producers. Correct.
yeah. And so if anybody is interested in what the union is striking for, you can go to sagaftrastrike.org/why we strike.
Mhm.
But instead of just reading off these bullet points, I was interested to hear from a member themselves what they feel like are the things they're fighting for.
Well, I think it's and I'm by far an expert on this, but I think I understand the gist of it. Is that it's really centers around a couple of main points. One is with the advent of streaming, it has adversely affected the actor's ability to make a decent living, basically, especially in the area of residuals, where the residuals that you may have gotten for a TV show or a film that ran are grossly different than what you're going to get when those films run on a streaming platform like Netflix or Amazon Prime or Apple or any of those. It's a pittance compared to what it is. Um, Another issue, and equally as important, is the advent of AI
Mm-hmm.
into into the picture, literally.
Yeah.
That is going to it is a complete game changer on how movies will be filmed, and in this particular case, how actors will be participating in them or not participating in them. One of the glaring examples is one of the things that the producers are talking about has to do with background actors, the people who are the crowd in a film,
Yeah.
the passersby, whatever. And a lot of actors, that's how they can pay their rent, basically, when they're trying to get from one significant job to another. They're
Yeah.
doing background work. And one of the things that the producers are proposing is that, say you're a background actor and you come in to do a movie, they
Mm-hmm.
will pay you the day rate, which isn't much, but whatever it is. And
Mm-hmm.
then in that you sign away your rights to your image. So now they can use your image in other background footage in that film or in any other film at any time in the future. So
They can
basically,
clone you,
they can
basically.
clone you. Yeah, that's
Oh my
exactly what.
gosh.
Yeah, in yeah. To bring it up to speed, they can clone you, and
Mhm.
uh, so you'll get paid one day's work, and your image can be used indefinitely, in perpetuity.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I don't think that's right. You
No.
know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Steve, you have firsthand experience of this. Like,
Yeah.
hasn't your voice, like, haven't they turned like Master Chief into like an AI voice? Like, you can just have you say whatever anybody wants.
Well, people have. I was at a convention a month or so ago, and a guy came up to me and handed me his phone and had me listen to this YouTube clip, essentially Master Chief giving dating advice and giving job hunting advice, and how to boost your self-esteem. These were long, diatribes on, and they were all quite innocent, and quite honestly, what was said, I didn't really have a problem. But the fact of the matter is, I had to listen to it for about 5 minutes before I was absolutely convinced that I did not do that. It was that accurate. And so, if it took me 5 minutes to figure it out, the average person's going to assume that that is me saying those words, when in fact, I never said those words at all. I mean, it's not even like they took a sample of something. I never did that session. I never said those words. I never had anything to do with it. And like I said, in this particular case, it was innocent. I don't think that the guy who did it is making any big money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it could have just as easily been, a
Pro-Trump commercial.
it could have been a pro-Trump commercial. It could have been pornographic. It could have been promoting gun violence. It could have been any of those things and would have sounded exactly like me. And there's a question as to how somebody like me or any other actor is protected in that. Is where do my rights come in to say, no, you can't do that, or you can do that with my permission and you'll pay me. All of those things are up in the air right now, and that's what's at stake with, part of what's at stake with this strike.
And I think that one of the big issues, especially in the context of this Netflix thing, is that Netflix is not, or has never released, how much money they make on a particular property.
That's a big issue. You're right.
So, like, we don't know how much money they've made from They Clone Tyrone.
Right.
We don't know how much money they've made from any of these like giant, Netflix things that have caused so many people to subscribe to Netflix. And, Netflix obviously is nothing without their content. And, when they're advertising it, like, subscribe to Netflix and you'll get Orange is the New Black and The Irishman and They Clone Tyrone and all this stuff. But then they come back and say, well, we don't know if those properties are actually why people subscribed.
Right.
But that is such bullshit. I mean, you're like hiring the best minds in Silicon Valley to analyze this stuff and what brings in subscribers. They know goddamn well what properties are bringing in money and how many viewers they have.
I mean, that's the difference. That's the rub with residuals, and is that the old formula for residuals had to do with eyeballs. How many people are watching this, program, right? Whatever. And there was a formula for that on broadcast television. Well, like you said, now, with streaming, that's all up in the air. So the union is trying to negotiate with the producers. Let's come up with a way of determining, and basically what they're suggesting is we want a cut of the action. Yeah. We want a piece of the pie. And, that's the last thing a producer is going to give you is a piece of the pie. And, therein lies the rub. And, I think this is going to be a long, protracted strike. And, it's going to change the future of the business. But, I think the underlying or overlying, if you will, point is, look, you can have all the Netflixes and the Amazon Primes and the Apple Pluses that you want. But you know what you got to have? You got to have content. You have to have actors. You have to have directors. You have to have writers. You have to have people producing this stuff. And in order people don't watch Netflix because the logo's cool. They watch it because there's something on. Now, and of course the Writers Guild is on strike as well. And part of their beef is, in the area of artificial intelligence. Let's say there's a TV series that employs 10 or 15 writers. Well, let's say you get AI to write the basic script, and you have one writer who then massages it and takes out all the obvious glicks, and there you have a finished script for a TV show. And that puts 14 other writers out of work. And eventually this is sort of it's a cannibalization of the art, because you're going to put a lot of people out of work or underwork, and pretty soon nobody's going to be there. And then what do you have? You got some AI making all this shit up. Okay, great. Have fun with that. That's going to be a blast to watch. So, so I mean, it is, and I also think it goes way beyond just the entertainment industry. This is something that is affecting each and every corner of life, really. So
yeah, and also like with actors, I hear like if you're like a recurring role on a Netflix TV show or something, like if you're actually, they won't credit you as a recurring character because you have to pay them more to do that. So they'll put you a guest starring role, which is like you can get paid bare minimum for that. Even if you show up in 6 of the 10 episodes, they'll say guest starring, which is a much lower rate than a reoccurring role.
Right.
So all sorts of stuff like that they do to try to make their margins a little bigger, just because I feel like, the margins on being a streamer are so low that it's crushing the creatives and the actors.
Exactly. And the other point that I think is, especially, to the general public, they, and even in the news media, this strike is being being sort of framed as a, Hollywood actor strike. Okay. And then when people hear that, they think, George
Brad
Clooney,
Pitt,
Brad Pitt, Meryl Streep, people who are making hundreds of millions of dollars, which is such an infinitesimal amount, a portion of the acting community, that it's almost insignificant in the bigger picture. The average union actor makes about $26,000 a year. That's it. 26,000. That's not even a living wage, and that is your average union actor.
And to put that into perspective, people like Bob Iger are making $78,000 a day.
A day, yeah.
A day.
Somebody came up with the notion that in the 1980s, a CEO like a Bob Iger from Disney would make, I think it was 40 times what his lowest paid worker would make. And today, Bob Iger makes 400 times what his average lowest paid worker makes. Now, I'm sorry, man, the math doesn't add up.
And that's across the board, though. I mean, like that is the wealth gap that we're seeing in pretty much every industry. But actors are workers too. And
workers too. Yeah.
And they deserve a living wage for the work that they put in. And so do the writers.
Heath, any reaction to this?
Yeah, it's important. I knew the strike was going on, didn't know a ton of the background, did a little bit of research before coming on here. I think the AI stuff is very important. I mean, I don't know if there's any other industries that are really kind of at the forefront of the AI versus like creative dispute. I mean, the AIs might be taking over like creative positions now, but in the future, I mean, they could very well be taking over more technical and, like
absolutely
STEM kind of shit. So, I mean, it's important that we've got unions fighting for the distinction between AIs doing work and humans doing work. And, I think it's going to be probably a fight that you see in a ton of industries in the future. So
I couldn't agree more, Heath. I think that for whatever reason, sort of the entertainment community seems to be the tip of the spear on this thing, but it affects every walk of life. And the thing is, there's no turning back from this. It's not like, and this is not what the unions is trying to do, is ban this sort of thing, because that cat is out of the bag, and we're not putting it back in. But there's got to be a way to to figure out how we can make this like any other technology, make it work for us and be a complement to us instead of a competitor. And that's a sort of therein lies the rub of how to figure that out.
Yeah, I guess my other question, or my last question to you, Steve, we've been seeing a lot of kind of rules for people, like how they should, talk about a movie or a TV show on social media. Do you feel like, as somebody who's striking right now in the Screen Actors Guild, like, and we're doing like a movie podcast, like what kind of responsibility do we have, if any? Like, should we be talking about the movies right now? Like,
well, my feeling is what we're doing right now is an important thing. The way and so it's sort of easy for me to be all pompous about this right now because, quite honestly, it does not affect me directly. I'm not working on anything under the TV and film contract. I work under the interactive media contract, which covers video games, which is not affected. We had our strike a few years ago, and I went through that and honored it, and picketed for it and all that. But so anyway, like I said, it's I don't have a dog in the fight necessarily here, but I think to answer your question, what you're doing here is bringing this issue to life. So you're talking about the film. You're also talking about, the real world situation, around this film and all other films that are being aired on streaming devices, and making it, trying to do your bit to make it the public aware of what the issues are. So as far as I'm concerned, we're all cool here.
So we have no responsibility. We're exempt from this.
Well, no. That's, look, if you or one of you guys was, had again, a dog in the fight, and let's say you had a role in this film you're talking about, or you had some interest in it beyond just wanting to discuss the film. That's a different story. Now you're promoting the film. For example, Siskel and Ebert aren't on anymore. But if they were, they would not be, as I understand it, would not be exempt from going, from doing their at the movies bit and critiquing, the latest film. They would still be able to do that. Their show would not be taken off the air. If I don't know who the stars of Clone Tyrone were, but if you had one of them on and he was talking up the film, okay, now we're in a different area, and that would be a different thing. So, as I understand it, and I could have a union rep call me when this is over and say, "No, you got it all wrong," but I don't. I don't think so. I think that, and especially, in conjunction with talking about the film, you're also talking about some underlying issues surrounding the film and the business in general. So that's where I'm at on it.
Yeah, we'll have to cancel our appointment with Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, you might want to table that.
Yeah, he was really excited to come on, though.
That's a shame. Sorry, Keith.
But look next time, Keith.
Next time, yeah. We ran out of time, but we'll have him on next week.
Yeah. Well, I've been hearing from people that they're saying, like, we're not going to be talking about Oppenheimer on Facebook. We're not talking about Barbie. I know that, like, Greta Gerwig kind of got dinged as a scab just for, like, coming out for one of the premieres of Barbie and just being like, everyone should see this movie, like just something as like simple and seemingly innocent as that.
Yeah. Well, I know with Oppenheimer, they bumped up the premiere in London by an hour so that the actors could walk the red carpet before the strike deadline happened. So that's how they sort of skirted around that. But
wow.
It's it's a sticky thing. It's a sticky issue, but I think if everybody's heart's in the right place, this is an important thing, and hopefully one that will be resolved in some equitable way sooner rather than later, although I don't really think that's going to happen.
Yes. Well, at one point I was in the Screen Actors Guild as well. I haven't paid my dues in probably 20 years. So, but at one time, I remember back in the 90s walking the picket line with mom during I think SAG-AFTRA was.
It was probably just SAG. Well, yeah, it was probably just. I don't think I was before the unions were joined, but yeah, they would have been around there. And we had back in 2000, we had the commercial strike, which did affect people like your mom and me and you, very directly. And that was a long and protracted affair. And one where we didn't have the support of some of the big A-list names until the very end, which was, has been a point of contention for a long time. This time, I think the big guns are being quite visible, and that's encouraging because it does help. That gets everybody's attention.
Well, thanks so much for popping in here, Steve.
Glad to. He's great to see you, man.
Hey, you too, Steve. Thank you.
And Zach, always, and Austin, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for returning to Film with Family. It's great to have someone with your expertise and experience to weigh in on this thing that's going on right now.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for illuminating us. And we are in solidarity with Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild. So we like this movie, but we don't really necessarily like the platform that it's on. Honestly, personally, I think that Netflix is the worst of all the streaming services. I think it
really
pumps out the most crap.
But Tim Robinson, though, I think you should leave.
Sure. We got one diamond in the rough there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Just finished Beef. That was pretty good.
Yeah, actually,
Stranger Things. Good. Actually, Stranger Things is pretty good. Yeah. Actually, I like The Irishman. I don't know. The Irishman's good. All right.
I'm going to jump off. I'm going to try to watch the rest of Babylon, which I'm having.
Nice.
I'm trying to get to the point on that, so that'll be for another edition.
Sure. Well, enjoy that.
All right, guys.
All right.
I'm out.
Take
it easy.
Bye. Well, I think that was great. I'm glad that we did that. I know it's a little bit of a zag from what we were talking about, but I think that we needed to bring it up here on Film with Family.
Always great to hear from Steve too.
Mm-hmm. Kind of came full circle. We were talking about Black Mirror and that first Black Mirror episode with Salma Hayek taking a shit in the church.
Right? Yeah. It's like all about AI and her being like used in productions that she didn't have consent over. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of funny that
it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Probably only released just a month or two, just a couple months before the strike. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I should watch that. All right. Well, maybe I should.
Oh, sorry.
Don't stop watching Netflix. God damn it.